I do think that Cabo was a really nice city. I think that everybody was pretty friendly. We could use, we didn't have to exchange out money or anything. I thought the weather was absolutely beautiful at the beginning of April. The water was a little cold, but it was quite breezy. So I didn't sweat not one time when I was in Cabo. Hey everyone, my name is Mars, like the planet, and I just got back from Cabo San Lucas. I took a trip for my 30th birthday, and today I'm gonna tell you all about my trip. I'm gonna tell you all my tips and tricks, what I learned, what I did. So hopefully it can help you. I really think putting these videos out here, whether just one person, gets something out of this, that would be really helpful. This was my first time ever going to Cabo San Lucas. I know it's a really popular destination. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So for my 30th birthday, I invited me plus 5 of my closest friends to go to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. The very first thing I will recommend, if you have no other things that you want to hear from this video, is to get a travel agent. Now, before we even get into it, I know people are like, wait, isn't a travel agent expensive? Aren't they only for rich people? I don't need a travel agent. Travel agents are 100% free. Now, there might be some travel agents out there that do charge, but travel agents earn money off of commission. Travel agents are completely free for you to use. I use a travel agent and I paid $0.00. That's not because I'm making videos on YouTube. That's not because I'm getting special treatment. Travel agents are always free to use. I'm definitely going to shout out my travel agent, Cassandra Lewis, because she definitely helped plan this trip for me, and I have been working with her for the past year on this trip. But if you don't go with Cassandra, at least get a travel agent, because they can make your life a whole lot easier. They definitely can help you when things go awry, and they can figure things out for you. So we stayed at the Marquis Los Cabos. It is an all-inclusive adult-only resort, and I absolutely loved it. This was my first time staying at an all-inclusive resort. This is my first time obviously staying in Cabo, and I have nothing but good things to say about this place. I'm gonna get into it right now. So if you are interested in going to the Marquis Los Cabos, once again, I definitely highly recommend it. It was a 10 out of 10 for me. So first of all, I will say that their service is just top notch. I've been on a cruise before, so I know kind of what all-inclusive means, but if you don't know, all-inclusive means that you're booking for your stay, you're paying for your food and your drinks. You can have unlimited drinks, you can have unlimited alcohol, you can have unlimited food. If you want 5 plates of food, you can have it, but it's just a really nice high-end experience. When we first got there, we were greeted with drinks. They gave us a nice margarita to start off our trip. They are just so helpful, and I really enjoyed staying there. We went the first week of April, and honestly, the resort was pretty empty, and not in a bad way, but in like a empty way. I don't know if it was because it was before Easter, or this is a like adults only, so maybe there weren't a lot of families there. This was a lot older crowd, but it was still very fun. The pool was basically empty the entire time that we were there. The restaurants were not crowded, and that was great for us because we didn't have to wait, we didn't have to stand in line, we didn't have to feel like, pushed up against people. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants, when they're paying a bunch of money to go to Mexico, to feel like they're the only people there. So I definitely enjoyed it. They also had nightly entertainment. So the first night we went, they had a fire show, which we unfortunately missed because we were going to dinner. But the second night they had a mariachi band, which was absolutely amazing. And they had these Mexican dancers. They did different styles of dance throughout Mexico, and they were just so talented. The next night we were there, they had an acrobatic show. So they had people doing all types of tricks. They had aerialists. They had people doing just backflips and all kind of stuff like that. So I really do highly recommend the Marquis Los Cabos. I thought our room was really nice. They even decorated my door to say happy birthday, and they gave me a birthday cake. I thought the grounds were really nice. And also another thing is that because I was traveling with a group of friends, I wasn't sure how big the resort was going to be. I wasn't sure if I need to be calling and texting and wondering where people are. And honestly, I wouldn't say the resort is small, but it is walkable. It is so easy to walk around that we were constantly running into our friends, and it wasn't like we had to keep tabs on where everybody was. So now let's get into our itinerary and what we did each day. So the first day that we were there, now once again, I planned this entire trip myself with the help of Cassandra, but the first day that we were there, obviously we all flew in, and we took a shuttle from the Los Cabos airport all the way to our resort. Now this was something that Cassandra set up for us. It was through Nexus Tours. Now I will say, coming out of the Cabo airport is a bit of a whirlwind. There is just so many people trying to sell you stuff and get your attention. There's an entire bar outside. It was just really jarring. I don't know, I wasn't expecting it. Another thing I wasn't expecting, now this may be me not knowing Cabo, it's very much a desert. It is very much dry. There's a bunch of cactus, which are really cool to see, but it is very desert-like. Not a lush tropical paradise that you might think of when you think of going to the beach or going to Mexico. It's definitely a more drier climate, so just be prepared for that. But once we got on our shuttle and we arrived at our resort, we kind of took it easy. I wanted to have a nice welcome dinner, so we decided to go to Acre Resort. I actually just looked this place up and I decided to book us a reservation to eat there. The food looked really good. It looked really nice. Uber in Cabo is very reliable, but please remember that Uber XL is just someone that has a third row. It is not an Escalade. It's not a huge giant car. That would be Uber Black. And you have to really pay extra for that. But in Uber XL that says it can fit 6 people, you're really gonna be squeezing in. We had to get very close in the Uber, but we did make it work. But I will say that Uber XL is usually just a car with a third row. It is not a huge, giant car or anything like that. Okay, so anyways, we get to Acre. And it's a very, very nice restaurant. It's under it's giving very lush. There's like a saxophonist playing. It's all outdoors. There's like palm trees everywhere. You can look up and see the night sky. And we were introduced to our waiter. We were introduced to the person that was going to be helping our waiter. And I really thought that, going into it, the service was great. Obviously, I'm seeing people, I let them know that it's my birthday, and I'm seeing people coming by with their little cakes, with their sparklers and stuff. So I obviously knew this was coming for me at some point in the dinner, but we all ordered our food. This is a Michelin recommended restaurant. It does not have a Michelin star, but it is Michelin recommended. So these prices are a little higher. The food's a little more crafted, I guess, but we were all having a good time. So after we get our appetizers and our entrees, the service kind of slowed down a bit and our waiter just kind of stopped showing up. Now, I obviously have not been to Cabo before. I did not know really what the protocol was. Also, I'm in a different country. I did not know what to expect, but I did ask the waiter for the check. It is 6 of us sitting at the table and he said, okay. And he just never ended up bringing the check. So I politely asked again if we can get the check, and we still have not gotten the check. And I see the waiter starting to bring over the birthday with the sparkler. And I'm like, okay, I guess they're waiting, for that. And he sits it down at the waiter station. And at that point, I started to get a little bit aggravated because I was just like, what are we sitting here and waiting for? Everyone else around us, by the way, had left. The restaurant was not empty, but it was definitely cleared out. So finally, after about 30 minutes of, I'm seeing the cake, I'm seeing the little sparkler, it's sitting at the waiter station. Finally, they bring it over to me after about 30 minutes. And at that point, I was like, y'all can just keep it. I'm ready to leave. We had gotten there at 7:30. It's now past 9 o'clock. It's now 9:30. We have sat there for almost 2 hours and we're ready to leave. So after they did, the nice sparkler, of course, it's really cute and everyone's singing happy birthday and you're really excited, you're really happy. I was like, once again, I said, hey, I was like, I love this. This is so nice, but we really need to check because we're really ready to leave because it's getting late. And the waiter finally brings over the check, and it's one check, one huge check for all 6 of us. I understand that every single restaurant is different, but I exclaimed that I was not able to pay one single check and if there was a way we could split the check, and they told me that they were not able to split the check. So he kind of started going back and forth with me. The manager comes over and starts going back and forth with me, and this is where the point where I guess the night kind of turned a little sour, because I really do not think the manager of a restaurant should start going back and forth with a customer, especially if they just celebrated their birthday and they're bringing 6 people to your restaurant. I think if you're going to Cabo, I would say that Acre is a good restaurant to look at. It has really good food, but I would say from my experience that the service was slow. And if you're going there with a group, they don't split checks. That is just something I didn't know. I didn't even think to ask. And eventually they did end up splitting the check 3 ways. At such a nice restaurant with such high prices, I do expect a certain level of service. But yeah, let me know what you think about the situation in the comments down below. So let's turn over to Friday. So Friday was kind of a long day. I woke up and I walked on the beach. I got breakfast. I thought that the breakfast was really, really good. It was a buffet. And then this was the day that we went ATV riding. So I did find this booking on Viator. It was really great. I will link their Viator page down below, but they had a shuttle that came to pick us up. It was in the Magriño Desert. I think that's how you pronounce it, but I highly, 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 highly recommend doing an ATV tour. I will say that they are very informative. Side note, if you did not know, you cannot get in the water in Cabo. At the beach, you cannot get in the water just because the water is so rough. So that is something, if you're thinking you're about to go like lay your towel out on the beach and jump into the water, that's just something that's not going to happen. But anyways, back to the ATVs. So we were going like we were zooming. We were absolutely zooming. I couldn't even get footage of us on the ATVs because we were going so fast. You think like, oh, I'm just gonna be riding on little ATVs and be looking and whatever. We were flying. We were flying. It was just so fun. Like at one point my helmet almost flew off. That's how fast we were going. But when we were going to the desert, they had like wild animals. So they had cows, they had goats, and it almost felt like a Disneyland ride. Like we would drive by and like the cows are just laying there and the goats were coming out and walking on the mountains. It was just really like a cool time. They definitely had like a course for us to take and stuff. I cannot recommend this enough. We stopped twice. Like waves were just beautiful. It almost felt like the Little Mermaid, like the waves were just crashing on the rocks and stuff. It was really beautiful. Every single person in my group loved it. After that, we had a free tequila tasting that was included with our reservation. And this was quite interesting. Most of the time you think like, oh, shots of tequila, okay, cool. But they had some pretty interesting flavors. They had a chocolate tequila, and then they also had a creamed corn tequila. It was very interesting. It tasted just like creamed corn. Only thing I guess I didn't like, and this was for this excursion and the one that we went on the next day, but they have photographers, which I think is kind of cool to have photographers and people to take like professional photos of you, but they are way too expensive. So I do think the whole picture aspect could be reworked a little bit if they're really trying to get people to buy photos, because the guy really took some good photos, but I was not going to pay $50, $60, $80 for one photo of me. I don't know. I just wasn't. Especially because we got to stop and take pictures on our own phones. Only thing I do want to mention, if you are interested in booking this tour, that I'm going to link down below, is that they do require a $25 land use fee per person. So basically the land use fee is because you're driving on private land. The area that you're driving in is owned by ranchers, and you're paying to be able to drive your ATV through the desert, through their land and stuff like that. So I don't know. I was prepared, so it wasn't that bad, but that is something I just wanted to say. But all in all, 10 out of 10, had the best time of my life doing that. So once we got back to the resort, they had the nightly entertainment. Like I told you, it was the mariachi band, which was just, oh my God, they were just so wonderful. They had their like violins and their harp. They were so talented. And then we went to go eat at the hibachi restaurant that was on property. I thought that the food at the hibachi restaurant was really not that great. They honestly should have just had a Mexican restaurant. That would have been great. Like chips and salsa always eat every single time. Like it was okay. Like it tasted like meal prep. It tasted like something that I could cook like at my house. So it really was not that good. So that was Friday. On Saturday, I booked us a private boat tour on a catamaran, which took us out to see the Arch, or El Arco, which is the kind of huge rock formation that Cabo is known for. We also saw some whales, which is very exciting. And we also got to get in the water. So I booked this once again. I will link it down below on Viator. And they were really like 10 out of 10 customer service. I honestly accidentally booked this for the wrong date. I booked it in February when the trip was in April, and I was honestly freaking out, but I texted the owner and he was able to change my booking for me. But the boat was pretty easy to find. They texted us directions on how to get there. I do think the funniest part was that while we're waiting, obviously we're in Cabo, I'm expecting some Mexican guy to walk up, and some white guy walks up and he's like, hey, I'm here to take you to, are you here for La Tortuga Catamaran? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, hey, I'm Danny. And I'm like, Danny, what you doing here? He was like, oh yeah, I'm from Utah and I moved here to Cabo and I've been here ever since. So that was just like a really funny surprise to just like come all the way to Cabo to see another American. But I knew I wanted something that had seats. I knew I wanted something that had a place to lay out. This boat also included a free meal and unlimited alcohol. And honestly, we were in Cabo for my birthday, so it was a splurge. We went out, we saw the Arch. Once again, they had their little photographer taking pictures. And then he was like, oh, there's whales over there. And I was over the moon. So if you don't know, whale season is from September to April 15th. And so I knew we were pushing it kind of close. So I wasn't sure if we were going to see whales or not. But I was so excited that we got to see humpback whales. And they were jumping out of the water. And she was like, yeah, this is a mother teaching her baby how to jump. And so it was just so cool. Like, we flew over there. Honestly, the boat was like beelining for the whales. So I was glad that they kind of diverted the trip a little bit for us to be able to see whales. And then they were allowing us to get in the water. This was not at the beach part. This was like in the actual water. It was kind of cold, but not like unbearable. Like, I didn't think I was going to like die of hypothermia. There were fish in the water. It was obviously very salty because it's the ocean. And they had like a big, huge lily pad for us to get on. They had a, what's it called? Like a paddle board, but none of us could really figure it out. After we got out of the water, we ate. They had chicken, rice, chips, guacamole, refried beans. It was a really nice meal. I honestly wasn't expecting to get like a full plate with like a piece of chicken. I thought it might be like some snacks or something. And then they brought me out a birthday cake. I was not expecting them to get me a whole cake. It wasn't just like a little, it was an entire cake. I thought it was a wonderful time. The only thing that I will say, please wear sunscreen. Please, please, please put on sunscreen. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or whatever. Everyone needs to wear sunscreen because you will get sunburned. So after we returned from the boat, we got to walk through the mercado. And so we all got to buy like our little souvenirs and stuff. They also have a Cabo like sign that you can take pictures in front of, which I really liked. And also all of the people accepted credit cards or US dollars. You don't have to worry about exchanging your money out for pesos. And so it was a really good time. We all got our souvenirs and then we easily called an Uber to go back to the resort. At the resort, that's when they had the nightly entertainment of the acrobatics show, which was really cool. And honestly, our resort stay was coming to an end, so we all decided to go eat together one more time just to finish out the trip and talk about everything, and also brought me out a little cake and a sparkler. And then on Sunday we left. So it was kind of a not short trip, but we stayed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So a 4-day, 3-night trip I thought was long enough. I do think that Cabo was a really nice city. I think that everybody was pretty friendly. We could use, we didn't have to exchange out money or anything. I thought the weather was absolutely beautiful at the beginning of April. The water was a little cold, but it was quite breezy. So I didn't sweat not one time when I was in Cabo. Once again, I will link my travel agent. I'll link the resort, the 2 excursions we went on, and I'll put the prices of everything down below just if you're curious. I know talking about money is a little taboo. So yeah, that was my trip to Cabo. So if you have any questions, maybe I missed something, maybe you have questions about the resort I stayed at or the excursions I went on or just Cabo in general, you can definitely leave these comments down below and I will be happy to answer your questions. But yeah, thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for watching my video all the way to the end. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.